What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, I've gone with the natural light today. I wouldn't even call this natural light, but blue lights behind me and almost in a familiar territory. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I have a question to ask each and every single one of you guys today. I'm making this video for today's video specifically because I have no idea when this guy's going to get signed, but should the Chicago Bulls persist and maybe give a chance on a potential signing of the one and only Russell Westbrook? I made a video about it on the NBA channel discussing where I think personally he will go, and I think that will still be the Sacramento Kings. I think that is his best destination, along with, of course, a couple of other teams. However, there were articles suggesting that the Bulls should be taking a chance on Russell Westbrook, so why not bring it to the Chicago Bulls channel here, ladies and gentlemen, to this amazing fan channel, to this amazing community, and ask the question, should the Bulls persist on a potential signing for Russell Westbrook? It is astonishing to me that he's yet to be signed, and I think, I don't know, maybe people just view it based on memeship and stuff like that. They just don't think he's a good player, but he's produced a lot more than a lot of guys over the course of many years in the NBA, including last season. He had a very terrific season for the Denver Nuggets, a couple of turnover issues, but other than that, he was really, really good. Should the Bulls try to get that sort of player into this team? But before we get any further, if you like the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new, and let me know what you guys think about the Chicago Bulls and potentially the acquisition of Russell Westbrook. Do you think we should pull the trigger on it, or do you think we should be like every other team and maybe just stay away from this sort of deal, or maybe it's more of a wait-and-see approach? Maybe Russell Westbrook needs to take the initiative and pick his destination, and then teams can make the move. I don't really know why this situation is still a thing, but it is. Russell Westbrook, at this point, does not have a team. He's not with the Denver Nuggets. He's not returning to OKC. He hasn't joined Sacramento yet. There's a whole bunch of other teams that I was interested in, like Phoenix and the Knicks, and none of those things have kind of transpired. Maybe the Bulls should throw their, I guess, hat into the ring and see if we're going to be the team that can walk away with a Russell Westbrook. Now, what does he bring to the team? Because I know a lot of people just instantly say, no. No, I don't want Russell Westbrook. You need to hear me out here when I talk about Russell Westbrook. So, the first thing I want to say, I truly believe this as well. Russell Westbrook fits our system very nicely. He's going to be a guy that will love to run and gun and transition. He's going to be a guy that's going to be a willing playmaker. He's always a guy that's going to look for the big man in a pick and roll. And he is going to be, in my opinion, a perfect piece that could come off the bench. That's right. I'm not saying he's going to come in as a starter. So I'm not saying we should jeopardize the Josh Giddey deal because of this. And I'm not saying we should jeopardize Kobe White's extension because of this. I'm saying he's going to be a perfect asset off the bench. And he has been a bench player for a bit. He played off the bench for Denver. He played off the bench for the Clippers. He eventually played off the bench for the Lakers. I'm not asking him to come in and be a starter for this Bulls team, unless we don't get Josh Giddey back, and then we're kind of in a territory to find a point guard. Maybe that's when you go and get a Russell Westbrook into your team. But for now, assuming Josh Giddey is going to stay here, assuming that the Bulls are going to, keep a relatively similar team, I think Russell Westbrook could be a very valuable asset off of the bench. And then you'll have Bulls fans asking, well, what about Trey Jones? We recently signed Trey Jones. Why would you go and get Russell Westbrook? It could inflict in Trey Jones's minutes. What about Ayo Dosunmu? Why would you get Russell Westbrook and not, I guess, play Ayo Dosunmu in that position? Well, I have an answer for that. First and foremost, I think Russell Westbrook could be a better asset to this Bulls team than a Trey Jones, and maybe even an Ayo, but that's just for a season. I'm not saying long term. I just think overall, Russell Westbrook off the bench, average around 13 and 6 per game. He is a guy that would fit into the system. And the beautiful thing about those two guys that I mentioned, about Trey Jones and Ayo Dosunmu, they are both very capable of being off the ball players as well. So, especially with Ayo has played every role under the sun for the Chicago Bulls, it feels like. Ayo's played point for this team. He's played shooting guard for this team. He's played as a forward and a power forward as well. He's done almost everything you could ask for. He has played in a multi-guard system, so he knows exactly what it's like to be an off-the-ball sort of guard and to help in that department. And with Russell Westbrook coming into the team, he could go back to that role and still be dynamic. And plus, we're acting like Russell Westbrook is just going to hold the ball the entire time. Russell Westbrook, in of himself, has been a player that could work off the ball also. His energy and moving around the rim, especially when it comes to, the backdoor cuts and drive capabilities, he's a threat in that department as well. So I don't think he hinders this team is what I'm trying to say. I don't think he hurts this team. I don't think he impacts any progression whatsoever. Maybe if you're really thinking about it, it would hurt one of Trey Jones or Io, because you can't play all three of them, I don't think, on the same court. Maybe you can. Billy Donovan seems to love the multi-guard system. But all in all, I think there could be a way where we could make this work. All that being said, though, there's a lot of positives I just mentioned. All that being said, I think that's a big reason why we should not be signing Russell Westbrook into this team. And that is because, one, I don't think Westbrook wants to join the Chicago Bulls. And that is instantly a turn off for me, because I think he's picked his destinations. He's picked, there's been rumors that he wants to go to certain teams out there. The Bulls have never been, and Russell Westbrook has been a free agent multiple times in his career. The Bulls have never been an option for Russell Westbrook in my eyes. So, I just feel like it's going to be, put it this way. Zion Williamson, I mentioned him in the last video, right? Zion Williamson has been linked to the Chicago Bulls each and every single season, has actively said he wanted to play in Chicago in a locker room conversation. And then you got Russell Westbrook, who's been a multiple-time free agent, and the Bulls have never just seemed to have come up in that conversation outside of fans generating the conversation. We haven't had that same treatment suggesting that, the Kings are interested and he wants to go to the Kings. We've not had any of that here in Chicago. We've not had any issues of, Phoenix could be a situation for him, or the OKC reunion. It's not like there's reports saying he wants to come here. So I wouldn't necessarily be pursuing Russell Westbrook unless Russell Westbrook would be pursuing us. Because as good as he is, I don't necessarily think we're in desperate need of him. We're not in desperate need of a guard. We're not in a desperate need for another playmaker either, with Josh Giddey hopefully keeping him around. And I do think we have many players that can cover in that position. So I don't think we're in desperate need. I think it'd be a viable bench player, but not a necessity for the Chicago Bulls. And yeah, I think that's really the big reason. I just don't think he wants to come here. And the Bulls shouldn't be actively pursuing players that do not want to be in Chicago or anything of the sorts. So look, if for whatever reason Russell Westbrook comes to the table and says, you know what, I'd fancy playing in Chicago, I'd welcome him with open arms. I still think he has a lot to offer any team in the league. I think he's a perfect bench player for this team. I think he could fit majority of the teams in terms of bench players. And I think he'll bring an attitude and experience to this team that we don't have. We've been considered a soft team for a while, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have players that like to fight back when things don't go our way. I'll never forget when Grayson Allen hurt Caruso. This Bulls team didn't do a damn thing about that. They didn't do anything. They just sat there and watched it happen. Maybe a couple of pushes in there, maybe. But there wasn't a lot of fights. There wasn't a lot of attitude. And I think this team does need a little bit of that attitude adjustment. You definitely get that with a Russell Westbrook as well. So there are a lot of great reasons to bring him in. But ultimately, I do think he needs to express interest in the Chicago Bulls for me to truly want him here in this organization. I love Russell Westbrook, and I'd always be happy to have him on the team. But I just think he prefers to be in other places. And if that's the case, I'm not too fussed. We need to move on as an organization as well. But of course, articles suggested it. Fan interest is kind of there with Russell Westbrook. We'll see. Maybe down the line. I don't really know. But yeah, I think that's the big reason. And also, look, we are a young team. We're not really competing for anything. I personally think as well with Russell Westbrook, I'll just throw this out there. Russell Westbrook needs to go to a championship team. He needs to go to a team that's competing. That's why I like the New York Knicks option so much, because New York are going to be having a chance, at least in the capacity, in the conversation of trying to win a championship next season. He could be a very good bench player that could take over a Jalen Brunson when he's off the court, because when Brunson's off the court, the Knicks are a completely different team. Westbrook can come in and make a difference there. He's still capable enough to do it. And that's why I like the OKC reunion a lot. Even though he won't play that much, he's going to be competing for a championship. And I think that's where he needs to be. I'm so sick and tired of all these old guys not getting championships, man. Like, go get your championship while you can. You're at the end of the stage of your career. There's very limited time to go and do something like that. And that's what players are there to do. They're there to win championships. So if you're able to put yourself in that situation, I get it. Maybe players want to be the reason why the championship is won. But at this stage of your career, I would do what T-Mac did. I'd go to the Spurs to try to win a championship. I know he didn't, but he tried. You know, I'd do what all the old guys would be trying to do, going and trying to pursue the best possible place for that championship. So it's not the Bulls. I feel like it'd be an injustice for him to come here, but I would welcome him here as well. What do you guys think? Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.